Yep, we just paid off a new Zamboni. So that was good. It feels good to have some money in the bank should something go wrong. We don't have to panic. I just want to stop for a second there. I know this is sort of boring, tedious stuff, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about this report at this juncture before we move on to the following pages.
How much does a Zamboni cost?
$116,000.
Wow.
That's like the low end of a Zamboni. That's for a propane. Battery operated ones are like in the 150 range. So.
Appreciate the Rotary making that contribution for that. I heard that guy last year was really good. It was a big crowd pleaser.
Yeah, the kids love him. Yeah.
Good.
Yep. Okay. Page 2 is just a balance sheet. This is what I can print off of the town's financial system. It shows how much we have in our bank account, if you will, at Town Hall. Page 3, I'm sorry for the mess, but I only had a PDF of it and I wanted to see where we ranked. So I took just to explain this, there's 2 ways that rinks charge for ice time. They either charge on a 50-minute hour or a 60-minute hour. So when you compare ice rates, you need to convert them so they're the same. We're on a 50-minute hour. So if you look at the calculated 60-minute prime rate, 25.26, that's the converted rate, and we're at 305. Our actual rate's 261 for a 50-minute hour. So that puts us at number 8. PEA, kind of throw them out because, I don't know, they're a private school. They don't really want to rent to other people. I'm surprised Exeter Youth Hockey pays that much. I wonder if they don't, because sometimes there's little deals going on. That seems like a lot for a youth hockey organization to That seems like a lot for a youth hockey organization to pay. I mean, but Dover's right up there, Rochester's right up there, and if we had a different facility, we could easily increase our rates to match those other rinks. And I've used that number in a first crack at a budget, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Any questions about ice rates?
It's pretty widespread, huh? Between some of these rinks.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like the one I always find interesting is the rinks at Exeter. Sometimes I feel like they don't really know how much they're charging because they're on 60-minute hour and it's only 310. Like, I don't know. It just seems low for them. But so that's kind of the end of my season recap. I mean, we have a lot more fun things to talk about when it comes to what might be in store in the future. You guys want me to move on to the future?
Yep.
I know that most of you have seen this already, but I just wanted to, I knew there would be maybe some people here that hadn't seen it. And I don't think I'm going to be able to run this very well, but here we go. Just to give people that don't know already where we're at with this, like basically we hired an architect to take a mock-up that I created out of cardstock and colored paper on a table to put together some renderings of what a renovated rink might look like at Jackson's Landing. Our site footprint is very, very small, very, very tight. The building itself, like the steel structure of the building, is very, very small, very, very tight, very hard to fit in bleachers and other things. So it's taken a long time and some trickery to try to design a better rink that will work in that spot. And I personally think that we've been successful in doing that. Whether or not we can pull it off for the future is the next big question. So basically what we did is, what we have now is, I'm gonna try to mouse this, was we have a lobby, which we don't have. It's fully enclosed. We have a lobby and we have office space, skate rentals, skate shop renting, concessions, all that stuff down, which would be on the road side. Public restrooms, and then we have what we call, I call them lace-up rooms because I don't want to call them locker rooms. They're really just open spaces where people can come for public skate teen skate, fun skate, all that stuff, and put their skates on without having to be in a locker changing room. We do a big giant business with that public sessions, and mixing them with the players is definitely not ideal. So hopefully we'll be able to come up with a way to make this work, where we'll have these rooms which we could use for parties during the off season. You could also use them for whatever you want, like classes of some sort. But that's what that is.
And just to clarify what Bill's talking about, that's all would be new.
Right. There
Yeah.
is structure here now. It's our existing 4 locker rooms, bathrooms, Zamboni room. Everything's along this wall. It would all be ripped down and built new. And at the far end here would be locker rooms for the varsity boys high school teams. All right?
And the girls varsity, it
Yes.
says?
Yeah, boys and girls.
Okay.
Did I say that wrong?
You didn't include the girls.
All right, I meant to. Yeah, one of each, yes. Down at the far end, we would have, it's really hard to see on this drawing because it's got some weird texture on it, but a Zamboni room, which would also be for storage for things that we would use in the off season. Like maybe if we go this route, a sport court, a floor, which you would take up in the winter for ice, and you need a place to put it in the winter, in the summer. And then also down here in this little smaller area would be the new refrigeration room. Now I'm gonna go back around the other way. Like Rachel and I worked hard trying to figure out how to incorporate the rec department with the rink. And we figured out that having the same entry probably wasn't the best way to do it. So we came up with a way to, and I'll show you a picture of it in a few minutes, where the rec department has their own front entry, which you can see from the front here. So this would be entry into the rec lobby, and then there would be offices here for the rec department. Then they would have, whatever, bathrooms, little kitchen, and then down here would be, this was like the last thing we added. We had this genius idea that we needed a community room / a studio for whatever we want to do. So this is like a room to be used for meetings, dance classes, aerobics, all that stuff. And then down here we've got a waiting room for what we are calling the multi-purpose room, which is big enough, as you can see, for 2 pickleball courts.
Wow.
Yeah. And believe it or not, this all fits if we move the playground across the street, which I'll show you in a second.
What's the blue area in front of the white open multi-purpose room?
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, so these are the ice rink locker rooms, changing rooms. They're kind of built into the rec side. They were over there to begin with, and then we finagled in the rec department behind it.
So those are different than the boys and girls locker rooms?
Yes,
in
there's
the upper right?
4 rooms here for how do I describe that?
Like the youth,
regular
the youth
hockey?
teams.
Men's leagues.
youth hockey, men's league.
Oh, visiting team, okay.
Yeah, and visiting teams as well.
Okay.
Yep. If the high school was playing a game, they would dress in their room and their opponent would be over here. But basically all weekend and evenings for that matter, we'd have, when the youth hockey kids practice, they share the ice. There's 2 teams on the ice at a time. So you'd have one team in one team in the other. And on weekends, you'd have home in one and one in the other, and then you flip flop. But none of those are accessed from the rec side. Those are all accessed from the rink
the
side.
rink, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then let's see. I gotta back up. Hang on a second. I just want to show you a couple pictures. Okay, let me start with this one. I did part of this myself, so please forgive the amateur Photoshop. The architect that's done all this for me is working on it right now. I want to get that done, Joe, before we show the neighbors so they can see. So he's working on it right now. But basically, this is an accurate depiction of the building. The building at the center is what our footprint is right now. You know, the steel part of the building. And then all these other roofs, like that's all new in the back. That's the multi-purpose room, refrigeration room, Zamboni room. And then yes, there's something here now, but this would all be new. But what I really wanted to show you this picture for was that to explain that, like we really, right now we need more parking, to be quite honest with you, but if we do this project, we're definitely gonna need more parking. The town already owns this lot across the street, and it's usable for parking. And so this bad Photoshop that I did would be pretty darn accurate to what we would do with a new parking lot across the street. And we would go from, I think we're at like 96 spots now, and we'd go up to like close to 150, if I'm not mistaken. I have it written down somewhere, but it's not top of mind. And then the other, this is my stole from the internet, bad playground. But the playground would go, currently there's parking there now. So we'd be stealing this little zone right here to put the playground in, which we think would be a good idea because it would be connected to, there's a path trail system like over here in the woods, which it really doesn't get used very much. But the idea would be to put a path that connects to that, and there'd be a crosswalk that goes along the back of the rink, which goes down to the waterfront. Yeah, so that's the basic gist of that. Make it an overall recreational area, more so than it is right now. Does anyone have any questions about that before I jump off that picture? All right, let's see. I don't think this is kind of be a little repetitious, but just real quick, like just to give you an idea where we are. Strangely enough, the town had, I can't remember who did it, but someone funded a survey of the whole Jackson's Landing neighborhood that we own. So all the property was recently surveyed, and then we were able to get access to that. And that's what we use as a starting point for the civil engineer that we hired to do this conceptual site plan. And then we also have, pro bono had a wetland soil scientist do all the wetlands delineation around the rink. So we really have everything we need to sort of make legitimate, accurate decisions about whether we can do what we want to do or not. Do you agree, Joe?
Yeah, so the community would have to weigh in on the overall plan, but it's still coming together. And
Yep.
so a good job, I think, by the civil engineer laying it out, and we'll see if the town wants or is
Right.
interested, or if this committee says, yeah, this is the plan we want to recommend.
Right.
But that has to, you said there's some final architecture being done, so.
I just wanted him to, I think he did such a good job with the, I'll show you, with the bird's eye view before we added the parking lot. I want it in the playground before we show that to many more people like the neighbors. I just wanted him to make it look more professional than mine.
Bill, do you have the interior
Yeah,
pictures?
I'll show you some of those. These are in no particular order. Oh wait, actually. Wow. Yeah.
And one of the things said was that you probably would have a meeting with the neighbors to get input from this initial plan before it's brought.
Precisely.
I want to
Joe
go
and
to
I,
there.
Joe mentioned a meeting that we were at recently with some people at town hall, and we left that we were going to meet with the neighbors and show them where we're at, just as a,
See what they say.
just a way that, you know.
Yep.
But let's see. So as I said, no particular order. Let's see what happens when I click next.
That's the multi-use room.
That's a multi-use room. Yeah.
Oh, nice space.
It still shows the playground out back, but okay. So that's the bird's eye view that the guy did for me, and it's real. Like he used some sort of satellite photograph, and when I show the neighbors, I want it to look like that if possible. with the playground and all.
I know you want light in that pickleball multi-use room, but if you're gonna use it also for pickleball, do you have to worry about how the light's coming in and then distorting light reflecting onto the courts?
Probably. But there's shades we could do shades in there. They make shade systems. Like
I would,
Yeah, I don't know if that'd be a big.
I would say, let me just say this about where we're at with this. Nothing in this batch of renderings is concrete. Like, I've just tried to get something that looks good and that would function. And as far as like, you know, what color the benches are, and do we have curtains, all that stuff, there's a lot more work to be done. And I would just suggest that we probably don't need to get down to that level of detail at this juncture.
Just the size is the one.
Yes, I'm just trying to, and that was what I called the meeting with Todd and people. It's like, can we do this?
Yeah.
That's all I want to know right now.
Does it fit on the land?
Does it fit on the land? Are we going to be able, like, is there any, you know, environmental issues, zoning issues,
Yeah.
all that stuff? For now, if we can get past that, or make changes to get past that, then we can start taking the next step to like,
Then you can worry about the color yellow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the minor thing.
yeah.
I like it.
Right.
I hadn't even noticed what color it was.
I mean, again, like the windows and the flooring and all that is secondary to just
Yeah.
actually fitting it.
I have learned that anytime you see a window, it means more money.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, that would be just a wonderful space though. I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you can't see it in this picture because it's not accurate, but there's a cemetery right out back. It's not, you can't really see the water, maybe a little bit if you stand on a ladder, but. Okay. This is the front.
And if the playground were to be moved to the other side of the rink, then the cemetery wouldn't have as much encroachment that it currently has.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the issues from
Yeah,
one of the-
I thought of that. That would be
someone close to the
positive for the
cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
kidding.
To the right here would be where the rec offices are. This is looking at the community room / studio from the back patio. That would be the lobby of the rec office. Those guys are in one of the public skating rooms. I don't know why that guy's cheering. This gives you a good idea what the front would look like as you look at it from old Scotticar Road. Rink entrance, and then over to the right is a smaller entrance. That overhead door that's right there, there's like, I have never been able to figure out how to put an overhead door in there, in that footprint, where you can get big things in the rink without an issue. This is like the only place that we've been able to locate. So it seems like a goofy place, but you gotta be, if you wanna do like, whatever, if you wanna do a boat show or something like that, you need to be able to get bigger things in the rink, and that's the only place that isn't taken up by other stuff. That would be, whatever, this is just a generic picture, to be quite honest with you. But. All right, so that's that. Let me just look real quick to see if I have any other fun pictures. Smaller. Some of these are, oh wow. I'm just gonna, yeah, this is last year's report. This is when I lost my power cord. Anyway, I'm not going to go through this because it's
Wasn't everybody else?
Yeah,
The-
no.
the pictures that I've already showed you
You want
are
to have as much
further along
flexibility
than,
as possible.
than those were.
Thanks, sir, Christopher.
Okay, so just real quick, I want to show you, you have a hard copy of it, the budget, the last, oh here it is, packet. So last week I took a stab at a budget for what the financials might look like after the renovation was done. And what I did was, I took the last 2 years, I have this spreadsheet, I've used it for years to do the rink's operating budget. I've got fiscal year 25 and 26 still showing here. And then I added another 2 columns for post renovation. So 2025 is the way we ended up the fiscal year to the penny. It's the way it is. 2026 is how it was adopted. We're not done yet. So that really doesn't show very much. So basically, if you look at post renovation, the manager would probably have gotten a couple raises by then. In my opinion, it would need an assistant manager of some sort, a director of programming, whatever. Part-time staff wages would go up, so I moved that from 53 to 75,000. And then all the other little numbers that are attached to salaries of full-time employees were increased according to the percentage that we're paying for those right now. Health and dental for the new full-time position would be another 42.9 if it were today or this fiscal year. And then I have not done any real scientific bean counting on these, but electricity would, hang on a second. Yeah, no, liability insurance would go up. I'm not sure how much because it would be a more valuable structure. Actually, that's liability. Anyway, it's the same thing at my rink. Electricity would go up. Heating fuel would go up. Water and sewer would go up. And the biggest reason for that would be, well, a couple of reasons. Showers, we would have showers for the first time in history. And the other is that we would not dump the Zamboni outside anymore. We would dump it in a snow melt pit, which means all the snow that we take off the ice would go into the sanitary sewer in Durham, which means we would have to start paying for sewer. We have 2 meters at the rink, 2 water meters. One for all the Zamboni water and then one for the bathrooms and the sink in the office. So we've got like a $7,000 water bill for Zamboni water, and we've got like a $500 water bill for the toilets and the sinks. That would go up because we start dumping it into a snow melt pit, which in effect goes to the sanitary sewer. Let's see, I just increased like supplies, building maintenance, blah, blah, blah. Here again, this is an off-the-cuff first crack at this budget. And then what I did was, you can see new debt, renovation bond payments. I used a 3% interest charge for a 30-year bond, and then I played around on a little calculator online to see what the rink could possibly afford for debt payments out of this operating budget. And what I came up with was $3 million, which would equate to $150,000 in debt service payments a year. So I plugged that in, 150. Long story short, we get to the bottom. Total expense with this new budget would be 646, 147.50, which is an increase of $316,000 a year. On the revenue side, weekly receipts right now are roughly 225. If we stretch the season a little bit, I'm thinking we could increase it. And then we'll also add off-season weekly receipts, which are, like, weekly receipts is public session revenue, so admissions, skate sharpening, hot chocolate, stuff like that. In the off-season, it would be whatever we do with that facility when it is not ice. We would do roller skating, skate rentals, pickleball, whatever we can come up with to fill that giant playing surface. And then during the season, the blue rows, group rentals, I plugged in a 25% increase based on what we did above. So 225 times 25% equals 262,500. So that would be our new group rental ice season revenue. I believe we could increase the season a little bit on either end, which is that 30,000. And then in the off season, we might be able to rent the facility to teams who want to use it for rollerball or blah, blah, blah. Various different things. And then this is a total guess as to what might happen. But then I said, like, And this, one of the complicated things about this scenario is right now the rink is I call it an enterprise fund. I can't remember if that's what Gail calls it. It's an enterprise fund. We're self-sufficient. We make all our own expense revenue, cover everything. The rec department's different. They're on their own. They generate a lot of revenue, but they're not 100% self-funded. So how would we merge those two budgets at the rink? And this 75,000 that I plugged in here was an idea I had where, all right, let's say the rec department pays the rink some money to be a tenant of the rink, and they can do whatever they want with their space over there. Period. That's the first idea that I've had, and I think our idea tonight is to have some conversation about this subject because it's the most complicated part of the whole. Well, it's not the most complicated. And then room rentals, those two locker rooms that the high school boys and girls would use would probably have some sort of a lease payment every year that they would pay. The boosters would have to raise the money, or the high school, whatever it is, to pay some sort of rent to the rink for use of that space forever. What do you think? Let's do it.
Does the high school pay rent now to use the rink?
They don't have any dedicated space. Yes, they rent the,
Rent the ice, but no payment, like, do they use the locker rooms or anything?
correct, no. Right now it's set up so that anyone who rents the ice gets use of 2 locker rooms per hour when they skate. So that would be
Does the-
different.
Does the rec department pay rent in its current building?
In this one?
Because it's a town-owned property.
What would you do with the space that you're currently in?
Yeah, that's something we kind of briefly discussed, whether the Historic Association wants to move some of, I think they're packed to the brim, so whether they want to take it over. If the town wants to recoup some money in terms of like a rental, they could rent it out to a business. The challenge with the property is that there's super limited parking
Yeah.
there. As it is, the town rents 5 parking spaces from Irving. So if the town was to rent it out to, say, like a lawyer or whatever, they would have to work out a parking arrangement with Irving.
So if you are paying a rental, if 75,000 goes into essentially Parks and Rec's budget, do you think when you had the space that you currently would have, how much would you be able to, I'm really stretching here, but how much could you offset it with increased revenue?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to put like more of a program together to give you a better answer to that, but I think we would be able to offer programming that we struggle to offer now because we don't have the space to do it. We use the schools for so much of our programming, but we're limited as to how much we can use the school and also the timing of when we can use it. So now you give us a designated space that we can use for, even like preschool programs to more adult programming that we can do throughout the entire day. Pickleball could be played, right now during the school year, we just play in the evening because that's when we can use the school. So I think there's definitely plenty of opportunity to expand programming because we would have a space that we could use as a dedicated space. Even things like, teacher workshop day, vacation weeks, we just use our van because sometimes we're not guaranteed to be able to get into the schools. And we're limited to 12 kids on that. So now if we have a space that we could house some kids and we could have maybe a bigger program.
Plus your volunteers could all come there and easy in and out, it would seem, over the programs that you offer over the course of the year.
Right.
The parking at the rink would be way better than what you have now.
Yeah, I mean, parking would be significantly more of an option for people to come in for programming.
How does the square footage compare what you're leaving to what you'd be going to? And I know that might be apples and oranges considering that extra, what did you call the one other room, the conference meeting?
The studio.
Community room / studio.
I think that would be used
Yeah, I
sometime.
don't know what the
That-
size of this.
Yeah, and I don't have that memorized either, to be honest with you, but I would say that this ballpark guess, if you, for my multi-purpose room, community room, and office space and all that is probably at least 10 or 15 times bigger than what she has now. I mean, it's huge compared to that.
Yeah, and we also would be great connected to the rink, so from, say, April to September, we would potentially have access of inside the rink as well, depending on what Bill has going on to program in there as well.
And then, I was gonna say this now to get it on the record, like one thing that would need to work out is like, if we were gonna use this budget that I just created right now, like, that budget works because the rink's making a lot of revenue in the off-season as well. If we start using it for rec, and we're not making any revenue off it because it's a town building, then that budget wouldn't work. Just wanna make sure that that's out in the open, you know? And
Yeah, but the space that she has with the pickleball and that wouldn't theoretically impact your stuff in the rink, right?
It wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, he'd still be able to get his revenue, but you would have increased opportunity to bring in revenue specifically to try to pay that 75.
Yeah, like at a time of the day where we are limited into what type of programming we can offer, because we don't have a space, minus this one, but again,
Right.
we have parking challenges in the winter time. We're very limited as to what types of groups we can put into that room that we have.
how many square feet do you have right now?
I'm not sure, but like, I would say for a yoga class to happen in that space, if we had, I'd say 12 people's pushing it.
Full, yeah.
It's, yeah,
Chris, have you, I just found, oops, oh boy. Just for rough numbers, the community room is 1,128 square feet. The multipurpose room is 3,200 square feet. And then she's got offices of another 1,000 down there, I think, roughly, if you add all that up, just ballpark. So lots more. And they're, how, like, this is, the formula for how this works out is, we can figure it out, you know, but, and if, like, I personally, like, I don't care what happens. I mean, I do, but I don't care how this works out. I just want to make sure that the rink is set up to be fiscally successful after, if we do it, you know, and rec. And I think there's enough revenue that can come out of the rink to support rec too, in the long run. Like, I really think, like, roller skating, I keep saying roller skating, like side-by-side roller skates from all summer long will be so popular at that rink. And I feel that because I've seen it in other communities. Concord does it, and I see people like asking for it on like the Portsmouth Facebook group. We need roller skating, and I just think it's a way to make a lot of money at the rink, just like we make a lot of money with public skate now. So
I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but what kind of a surface would they roller skate on, and is that an investment, and does that preclude you from using it for a variety of other things?
no, I mean it is tricky. It's tricky, but like for instance, pickleball, you don't really want to play it on concrete, do you?
It's not
It's not
terribly
ideal.
forgiving. Yeah.
Right, so you want to play it on some sort of a sport court. In this application, we can't put down a permanent rubber court. Has to be removable, so we can put ice down. So we'd have some sort of, you know, 1x1 squares, and we would take it out in big 4x4 sections or something like that, and put it on pallets and store it. But on that floor, you could have it painted. I already looked into it years ago now. 3 years ago, it was like 75 grand for a floor like that, and it was all painted with whatever you order.
yeah,
Pickleball courts,
basketball.
basketball,
Volleyball.
volleyball, whatever you want. They build it somewhere else and they ship it to you on a tractor trailer.
I guess what I'm not clear on is would you have separate surfaces for ice skating, separate
Yes.
for roller sport, and then one other for all kinds of things? Or
No,
does
you'd have two surfaces.
roller skating works with these other things?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do it on the sport court.
Okay.
Really, the one I looked at was actually, it's designed for roller hockey, but you can use it for anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
these
in
sport
the
courts
winter,
have-
you have to have concrete.
They've evolved so much.
Was that?
The sport
Yeah.
courts have evolved so much. There's so many companies making them for multiple
Yeah,
activities to take.
yeah.
play some.
Unfortunately, you can't, like in the old rinks in Dover and Rochester, I worked in both those rinks when I was younger. And like, they wanted to do tennis in the off season. So they painted both those rinks with this really thick green paint with sand in it. So it's texture. If you go over there in the off season now in Dover, they replaced Rochester's floor. But it's like peeled up years ago and it's all flaky and yucky. It still works for ice, but it's not great for roller skating in the off season. So ideally you leave your concrete slab just, they polish it, you know, when they finish it, but you don't do anything to it except that.
I saw the
Paint it.
Phillips Exeter rink looked like AstroTurf on the whole rink.
They put in AstroTurf. Look,
It's seasonal,
yeah, I don't know if there's still sand. Those used to be sand underneath there. They didn't use it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was green, it felt like AstroTurf too.
Yeah, there's AstroTurf there now, one of them I heard. Yeah. So,
Tracy, you were on the playground committee. How do you feel about the potential of it moving across the street?
I think for this, I think that's great. And I liked when you looked and you showed me that area and how it would connect with the things. And besides, that playground was put in 27 years ago. It's, like you said, it's outdated. It's
It may
not in
connect
compliance
better with the
anymore.
trails.
Yeah, and it would connect with the trails. I don't think anybody in that committee would, the only thing they'd want is the playground. Because, well, there's one at Woodridge now, but when that went in, there wasn't another playground in town. So,
Yeah, there's the nice, well, it's a trail system that would be neighboring that playground that is really not used because no one really knows it's there. So this way it could blend into that playground and it could, you know, I kind of envision it as this real kid-friendly nature, all these little cabins to play in and out of, or sections that are interactive. So you've got your time at the playground and you can go do this loop trail that,
Get a little park course fitness trail along that loop.
yeah.
It'd be fun.
Well,
Right,
those
boot camp,
eighth
boot
graders
camp at the waterfront could take on a whole new
Yeah.
scene.
Kayaking.
And have an indoor space in case it rains.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the consistency of your program, having your own space like that. You know, it would be so much easier to have multiple programs because you're not traveling everywhere. You're in one static location, and regardless of the weather or anything else, you would have your spot. And I think it'll be really helpful for you to kind of delineate that, because I think the issue is always going to be like, will you have enough revenue or will the town have to pick it up? And if you can show that, I think it'll be really helpful.
I'm struggling to understand, and I think this might be the question you're asking everyone, is how does the revenue flow? So you've got, let's just call it two basic areas. You've got a rink that can do ice skating, roller skating, pickleball, special events, and then you have the surrounding areas. Am I understanding, and do you think this is the way it's laid out? Is those other areas, rec pays that approximately $75,000 lease, and they're on the hook to generate that additional income from using those spaces because they're available all the time and they're pretty versatile. But then the ice rink, how does that work? That's skating rink revenue 100%. If the rec department says, well, we want to put on a big event, we want to use it for a weekend, do we pay a rental fee? Is it the same as anybody else on the street wanting it?
we haven't gone that far yet,
Okay.
but
That's the big question.
I was thinking about too,
I'm not-
what can you handle at the same time? You know what I mean? So in other words, like the rink, you're gonna have like games coming in. What can you accommodate at the same time in the community space besides what's going on?
Right,
in the
can you
rink?
have yoga going on or
Yeah,
pickleball going on
Yeah.
while the surface is being used?
it's
It would
really
seem
off
yes.
season we're talking about.
Right, but even in the regular season, those community rooms on this side would be open for possible rental or pickleball and
Are you also asking, like, is there enough parking? Say Bill's got a game
Yeah.
happening on a Saturday, but we also have pickleball and yoga happening in those two spaces.
Could you make it work?
Yeah, I think parking Parking seems like the only limiting
Yeah.
factor there.
I did
Is
text-
that limiting?
I did text Dover the other day, I don't remember exactly what the answer was, but I said, hey, how many parking spaces do you have? So I was like working on this and I was curious. They
Ultimate,
have parking right out back, which has a lot of spaces, but the spaces they have around the rink is not like much different than we would have. At Dover, they have 2 sheets.
ultimately, you probably need a parking study just to make sure there's enough
Yeah.
for what you're
yeah.
projecting
And-
number of people to be there at any one time.
Yeah, and if you change the nature where, okay, now you've got bleachers, more people are coming when you do have ice skate, hockey games.
Yeah.
You know,
Our
what's gonna
bleachers wouldn't
change?
fit as many people as would fit at Dover or Rochester anywhere. We don't waste a lot of space.
Did you get an estimate for how many seats were in those things?
Yes, I can't remember roughly
For
what
between
it
the
is,
two of
but
them?
there'd be a lot of standing room, and there's also some spaces in there where right now there's nothing, where we could, I looked at temporary type of bleachers, fold-ups or whatever, that we could do later. But right now, they're just empty spaces in the corners. I can't remember what the total would be. I mean, the building capacity is based on how many people can fit on the ice at a time. And that number is bigger than how many people could be spectators, if I'm not mistaken.
It's kind of like the Waterville Valley rink, if anyone's ever been to that one, where on the gate, one of the gable ends, they have just like, I think, they're built-in wooden bleachers. They're kind of like a 3-step,
Yeah,
maybe even 2. And then the rest, people just stand around it.
yeah.
Benches are on, you can't go behind the benches, so it's really just, you've been to that rink,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Bill, when you have a game, how many people come to observe? I mean,
We don't have any high school games now,
okay,
so I can't really answer that question, to be honest with you. But like little kids games, I mean,
well, I was thinking a high school game, so that I didn't realize that.
Where does the high school
Where does the high,
they
what-
play at the Whittemore Center. They can't play at our rink for a couple reasons. One is they can't count on the weather. Might be foggy, might be drippy, blah, blah, blah. There's no showers for the teams. There's no showers for the referees. It, you know.
So,
I can
Girls
tell you
is
for a
that-
girls' game, there's probably under 50 spectators there, and that would include a playoff game. So,
so the
so,
parking for,
are you concerned about the ability to get a commitment that the high school would come here and play?
No.
So they could still go to the Whittemore.
Well, they could, but I know enough about what's going on at UNH to say that like UNH would rather not have anyone but UNH people there.
Okay.
Like
And-
they're slowly, even their own club teams come to my rink. Because they
Okay.
can't get ice. Not full time, but they do. They get pushed out up there.
Yeah.
Um,
And then,
so-
I'm just a little confused. Is the Jackson's rink, is that a private for-property entity or is it a town-owned for-profit business?
ta-
Town-owned.
well, it wouldn't be considered for profit, but it needs to be self-funded.
Self-sufficient, okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
quick little bit of history. Forget the years when it happened.
Yeah.
But Oyster River Youth Association took that under their umbrella when a local man built it basically on his own, help from some friends, and they couldn't run it in a profitable fashion. So they came to the town council and said, can you guys take this over for us? We can't do it. And the town said, yes, as long as it's profitable. So ever since then, it's been the town's. They like deeded it to the town, it's owned by the town.
So if it has to be self-sufficient, I'm just thinking then, why would the rec have to pay such a high rental fee, since it's a town-owned property similar to where they are now? Why wouldn't their space not be an additional lease fee and they would pay their portion of
the mortgage or whatever you
Maintenance.
call, or,
Yeah.
utilities?
That would be, that's a
Common-
good question, and I
common
would reiterate that this
area
budget that I did
space.
is a first crack at a rough draft.
Yeah.
So it's all to be discussed in the future. There's probably 10 different ways that could be set up in the long run, like if you wanted to separately meter all the utilities and water and all that stuff, maybe they could pay their own.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at the hospital and they had a for-profit business entity, and our hospital department was within that hospital-owned for-profit business. So yes, our hospital department, for a number, and we argued this every year, but we had to pay a lease, but we also had to pay our own utilities. We had to pay a percentage of the community, common space, all of that, maintenance. And then it started going back and forth, like, okay, you don't have to pay rent this
Yeah.
year, but you still gotta pay your community, your common property, your maintenance, your utilities,
Right.
your portion based on your square footage.
Yeah. I would
I
definitely,
mean, you don't want to run your rec department broke by charging a lease that they're gonna struggle to just break even to pay that lease.
That current lease number could also be the number used for expenses.
that was kind of
So
what I was
that,
intending.
you know, that would be the expenses for the new department, but the revenues from the new department
Yeah.
offset those expenses. The town doesn't need to make a profit on Parks and Rec.
Right,
So, you know,
It's just
whatever it
shifting
would
money
take to
around.
get it to
Yeah.
net zero for the
yes,
town and Parks and Rec would probably be what it is.
yeah.
What you're trying not to do is to spike Parks and Rec's budget. You want
Right.
the revenue to offset and pay for the building.
Right,
And then that would be further offset again by the revenues from activities.
yes.
So 75,000
lease
as
to run
shown
you
is a
underground.
stab in the dark, but not so
Yeah.
far, not so bad for.
You know where I got that
space.
number, to be quite honest with you, was I looked at the budget. In the public works budget, there's a number to take care of the courthouse, and it's $75,000.
Right, okay.
That's where I got that
Yeah,
from.
well, you've got 1,000 feet in the DPR offices, another 1,128 in the community room, and 3,200 in the pickleball court, so that, all,
You have
those
to room
amount of
more.
space, you take some money to maintain, and it uses utilities and water,
Yeah,
Yeah.
electricity, you gotta clean it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't have to pay taxes on it, but you have insurance.
There's definitely like, speaking as someone from the hockey community, skating community in Durham, of which I'm not a member. Like, I run the rink, but I have never played here because I don't play anymore, blah, blah, blah. But the town of Durham has definitely done a huge service to this community who skate at the rink, right? So to help the rec department be successful in a new building is something that the hockey community should want to do. And I'm certainly willing to like figure out a way to make that work so that for all we know, we can make enough money at the rink so the rec department doesn't have to pay anything, right? It's just too soon to know the answers to all these questions.
Probably should. and we're
Yes, I
running
was
out
gonna
of
say, I
road
mean,
here.
since we had Bill, I was
Sorry,
like,
am I
no,
taking too much
you're good. We usually we adjourn at 8:30, but I figured I'd let you go. We had a couple other
Yeah.
things on the agenda, but since we don't get you here every
Yeah.
once a year, I guess that's
One
about
last
it.
thing, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Linda?
Linda.
Linda, I just want to make sure we don't call the rink a for-profit business, because it's not. All the money stays at the rink, goes back into the rink, and, or sits in our bank account in case something bad happens. But we're definitely not for profit, we happen to make a profit, but we're charged with making a profit, or we're gonna close.
That's how they bought the Zamboni.
Yeah. So,
One
All
last
right.
thought, and
Yeah.
I'm not a heavy financial guy, but I always think about incentives and making sure you both have the same skin in the game and both have the same incentives or things reward you equally for success. So might the structure be based on a revenue share of programs that are run in that space? So those can be contributed towards that approximate $75,000 a year. Then you're motivated to help make sure there's scheduling, conflict minimization, all those kinds of things to work together to maximize the use of that space, and both sides benefit from it.
potentially, I
That's the extent of my knowledge on the
couldn't think
subject.
that through right this second. I mean, I like to make money, like, it's not my money, but it's fun for me to make money. I'm an entrepreneur outside of here as well, and I like to make money, so, like, I don't see any reason why, if we were able to make this facility happen, the rec department and the rink and the town of Durham, I mean, not the town of Durham, because it wouldn't go into the general fund, probably, which is a little sketchy with the rec department, but anyway, could make money and have a nice facility. People would be happy.
Yes.
It's a good way to end.
Huh?
That's a good way to end.
You are happy.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Bill. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for all your hard work that you have been doing. But I am gonna everything that we didn't get to, we'll just get to next time, unless there's anything pressing that needs to be said.
I would just say that in terms of the strategic plan, I'll be in touch with like our little working groups to see if we can like set some meetings up between now and the next meeting to push some of these things. So we can focus on the strategic plan, I guess, moving forward.
All right.
Does that sound